Why do we work hard to solve small problems? Why do we reinvent ourselves and our clients over and over? And why are we giving away marketing strategy for free? It's time to bring home bigger paychecks. It's time to create the lifestyle we deserve and to make a greater impact. This is the Fractional CMO Show, and I'm Casey Stanton. Join me as we explore this growing industry and learn to solve bigger problems. Hey, it's Casey here, and welcome back to another episode of the Fractional CMO Show. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the Sunday Scaries, and I wonder if you experience these. So why I bring this up is I was recently out. We did a Halloween thing with my son, so my wife and I went down to the local kind of neighborhood Halloween get-together, and I'll tell you, my son was dressed up like a monkey. He's 2.5, and he was adorable. My wife was a skeleton. She's pregnant, so she had like a skeleton and then like a skeleton inside of her thing. It was cool. And then I was just a giant banana. My son loved it. And also other kids came over to hang out with the giant banana. So I don't know if you're thinking, what's my Halloween costume next year? Let me just say a giant banana is pretty cool. All right. So I bring this up because after we kind of did like the community Halloween thing, we caught up with a couple friends and went over to kind of an outdoor food, like vendor, kind of craft vendor hangout, you know, those kind of things, right? On chipped wood, you just kind of hang out and chill. And we were doing that with our kids, and I met someone new, and we started talking about, you know, his kid, my kid, and then, you know, the conversation kind of inevitably goes to him asking, you know, what do I do for work? And I kind of mentioned from a high level, and then I asked him what he did, and, you know, it doesn't really matter what he did. It was unrelated to marketing. But the day that we were together was a Sunday. And he was like, yeah, and you know, it's around 3, 4, 5 o'clock every Sunday. I start to get those Sunday Scaries. And he kept saying, but I'm really well compensated. But I really kind of hate the work I do. I hate the hours. I hate the travel. So he's got to drive. Then he has to go work in an office. And he does work that he keeps saying that he's really good at. Like he's well known for it. In the industry, people know him. He's in his early 40s. Like he was kind of setting himself up for potentially long-term success in this, except he really disliked it. And he kept using the term Sunday Scaries. And this is something that I heard a while back, a few years ago when I was working as a fractional CMO for a client. It was just, I just didn't like them, right? I'm sure you've been there before. You've worked with a client that you just don't vibe with. You just don't like them. At the beginning, you jumped in because it was exciting. It was a fun problem to solve. But then over time, you just kind of realize you just don't like them, or you don't like the business. You don't feel like you have the autonomy that you need, the control that you need, the budget to do the stuff that you want. Maybe you just don't like the mood that the entrepreneur is always in. Maybe there's like an archetypal person that you have to interact with that you don't really like. You know, like whatever comes up for you, totally valid. So I would kind of sit on Sundays and then just kind of be like, ugh, I gotta go work with these clients. You know, specifically this one client tomorrow. Ugh, like I'll do it. I'll get through it. I'll do it for my, you know, for myself, for my family. But like you just kind of hated it. And I'm wondering, is that true for you? Do you experience Sunday Scaries? And maybe there's a duality here, which is like Sunday Scaries tells you that something's off. And also, you kind of can't have it all at the same time, all from the start. Right? So like if you take on a client that pays you well, let's say they pay you $5,000 or $7,500 or $10,000 a month, and you don't love them, but you kind of love the money, you know, it's okay to continue working with them, but you always want to be prospecting and building up that pipeline so that you can roll them out, phase them out, and get a better client in. But this notion of Sunday Scaries, I think, is important. What is it? Is it the intersection of like I have to and I don't like them? Maybe that's kind of what it is. Maybe you're not being able to be yourself. I don't know if that feels true to you. So I read something interesting that I thought was really kind of fascinating, and it's got me thinking. There was a woman who works with those who are dying, so those who are in hospice, and in asking, what do people kind of regret most on their deathbed? And one of the biggest regrets that she defined was that people on their deathbed would say that they didn't have the courage in their life to live a life that was true to themselves. They lived under the expectations of others. And this is like a perennial wish that these dying people want to go back in time and fix. In the final days or weeks of their life, they reflect on what they've done, they stop and take a breath, and they realize, damn, I've been chasing serving these other people, but never once serving myself. So I think back to this guy that I met. And I think back to his defensiveness around, but I'm really well compensated. And I think, what do you get with great compensation? You get money freedom, possibly, the ability to go and do buy the things that you want. But let's just say he bought himself a luxury car. I mean, I guess he'd get to enjoy it for 2 hours a day. Maybe that's a good investment for him. Maybe he has a really nice place, but he's going to be spending a lot of time outside of the home. Maybe it's to afford a really great school for his kid. But when you're in a high cost of living city, it's expensive to send your kids to private school. It's the question that I just kind of sit with when I kind of reflect on him is like, does he have the courage to live the life he wants? And it isn't for me to decide or me to judge him. And I kind of can't help but think of it when he talks about Sunday Scaries. So let me put that back on you. Are you working ardently to get a bunch of money so that you can retire? I mean, do you actually ever think you're going to retire? Or do you think, hey, I'm pretty good at this marketing strategy thing and it's an intellectual exercise and I want to do it as long as my brain holds out? It's kind of my plan, right? I just enjoy this stuff. I wouldn't want to let it go. I want to stay kind of intellectually stimulated. So his whole process was to increase his earnings at the cost of family time, at the cost of personal time, at the cost of hobbies, at the cost of enjoyment, just so that he can have more money, so that he can do what? Retire, maybe? Afford nice dinners? So it's just a consideration here. If you're on the fence thinking, maybe I want to be a fractional CMO, maybe I don't. I'm just wondering, do you have Sunday Scaries? If you're currently working with clients in your marketing agency, or you're a marketing consultant, or you're a full-time employee, do you have Sunday Scaries? Do you kind of freak out on Sundays? I encourage you, kind of first thing that you do is just start creating better guardrails in your life so that work doesn't get into personal life too often. There's the idea of compartmentalization, but I think maybe more accurately, you are working when you're working and you're not working when you're not working. And I think if you can delineate those and be a little bit more polar on it, you're going to be more satisfied. That's kind of one of the first steps that you can take. And then evaluate the people that you work with and the kind of work that you do. And do you feel like you're growing? Do you feel like you're getting better? Do you enjoy that? Is the outcome of the work that you're doing worth the effort? I think a lot of us are afraid just to leave what we got because we think maybe we can't, remake it. I got a buddy who works in the art space. He's an artist, and he's been working for a company, and the company is shutting down. And he reached out to me. He's like, hey, what do you think would be the right next step? And we had a conversation this morning while I was making coffee, and it looks like he has replaced 90% of his income on a contract that he'll be able to execute in 20 weeks of the year. So in a 48-week year of working, he's already making back, let's say, a majority of his income in 20 of those weeks contractually. He's never done this stuff before, but he bet on himself, and his family's going to benefit from it. So Sunday Scaries are real. Sunday Scaries are about you being worried about going into work and not loving the work that you do and feeling like a human doing and not a human being. Like you're kind of getting forced just to have output. And if that's kind of what you're experiencing and you just don't like it, you can leave. Maybe your exit plan is not an immediate pull the ripcord and get out. Maybe it's building up an additional client on the side, bringing in a couple $1,000s a month, and then kind of believing in yourself from that. If you're in the US, you got to figure out healthcare probably. And healthcare's expensive. I mean, straight up, healthcare's super expensive. We got a baby coming like any minute now. Last night, we elevated to DEFCON 3, state of readiness, where we had to be ready in 15 minutes is what I declared in the home. Right now, DEFCON 5, so a little calmer. But that baby's coming, and I'm very aware that we're going to have to insure a baby. And what's that going to cost me? I mean, in the US, it's crazy. It'll cost me $500 a month to insure a baby. It's nuts. I got a family of 4. So my nut on just insurance is $2,000. That can be a lot. That's the reality of it. And I'm willing to work harder to ensure that I have that money instead of giving 100% of my time to an employer just for the quote unquote security of having health insurance paid for. So if you've got Sunday Scaries, just consider where you're coming from, consider where you're going, and consider if you're on the right path. And if you're not, like this guy who's, in his early 40s and quote unquote well compensated, is it time just to slowly start moving out, doing something new, doing something different, finding an additional way to bring in revenue on the side and then have that eclipse your current income and then have that take over and then drop your job? These things are all possible and it's unique to you. And this is one of the things that we help coach our members to do inside the CMOx Accelerator. We just had a member just recently join who was a VP of marketing from a product company that I would bet 50% of the people listening have that product in their home, right? Solid VP of a very ubiquitous company. And he decided that he wanted more challenge and he wanted to take his expertise and go serve multiple companies with it. Does he eject from his full-time employer right now? Maybe. Does he pull on a client on the side? Maybe. It really depends, right? It's unique to the individual. So inside the Accelerator, we coach our members on what to do that's right for them, what we think is right for them. It might be transforming their current employment relationship, leaving altogether, getting a client on the side. Some folks come to us that have left a job and they thought they'd go pick up some consulting work and they kind of struggle with it and they want some more focus. And we just coach them and support them on doing that so they can build a business where they're in control, where they can work as much as they want to work and really have an unlimited income ceiling. So if that's interesting to you, if you want to banish Sunday Scaries, it's really just about getting in alignment with who you are, what you want, living a life true to yourself, and then building systems to ensure that you have a pipeline of clients and then obviously being able to serve them. So if you want our help, just head on over to cmox.co/call. That's cmox.co/call and book a call in with one of the gals on my team. They'll ask you a couple questions just to see if we can help you. And then if everything looks good, they'll pass you on to the next person and he'll ask you a couple more questions. You can ask him any questions you want and see if it's a good fit. If it's not mutual, it doesn't make sense. So that's what we're looking for. And really, there's no risk to you. Super low pressure here. Just looking to help you if you're looking to get into the world of being a fractional CMO, serving multiple companies and winning $3,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month clients or more so you can bring in $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month in recurring business. All right. Hope this finds you well. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for today's show. For more information and episodes, visit our site at fractionalcmoshow.com. Go ahead and punch that like and subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. It means a lot, at least to my mom.